Hey, everybody, it's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District, calling out to all my friends throughout the 8th District, throughout Maryland, and across the country who tune in now for my favorite time of the week. It's Local Hero, when we get to salute the people who are making life great for Marylanders. And today's Local Hero, I must confess, is a really good friend of mine whom I love. Our State Attorney General, Anthony Brown, who used to serve with me in the House of Representatives, representing the 4th District. We came into Congress together in 2017. He left in 2023 to run for Attorney General, but we are shoulder to shoulder again in the struggle to defend democracy, freedom, justice, and the rule of law in America. And I wanted to salute Anthony Brown because of two amazing lawsuits that he brought last Thursday, and it's part of the work that he's doing to defend us against this onslaught. But let me start, Anthony, just by congratulating you for being our local hero and thanking you for everything you do for us every day.
Well, Jamie, thank you for having me on. I said to my team, I said, "Oh, who are the local heroes joining us?" They said, "No, you're the local hero." I said, "Oh, no, no. Our local heroes are the men and women who work for the federal government every day that are doing the important work on our behalf. And I just have the privilege as their attorney general to fight for them and on their behalf." But I appreciate the opportunity to, join you, Jamie. I miss our time together on Capitol Hill, the work that we've done together. I watch you from a little bit of a distance now. I'm up in Baltimore, and the work that you're doing is extraordinary. It's amazing. It's useful and just indispensable. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, that means a lot to me. And of course, we've saluted a lot of these federal workers who are local heroes. But you're a local hero as a state elected official and the top law enforcement official in our state, because you are demanding, along with other AGs, that the federal government observe the law. And the president is not a king, and the federal government is governed by law. And you brought one suit with, I think, a total of 20 state AGs, including yourself, last week, where you were arguing that the mass sacking of our probationary employees is illegal. And I wonder if you would tell us about that. Some people think that because they're on probation, they did something wrong. And I wonder if you would clarify, what is a probationary employee? Why were they targeted? And what's wrong with what Elon Musk and Doge have done there?
Sure. So a probationary employee is someone who, as you would imagine, is new on the job. Now, depending on the position that they're in, that length of time varies, but they're fairly new. But what many people don't understand, it's not that you're new to the federal government. You can be promoted from one position to another. And in that promoted position, you may have spent 10, 15 years working for the federal government, but you're probationary in that status as well.
But you might have superior evaluations all that time.
I mean, and we have seen that.
Yeah.
So superior evaluations, of course, that's why you got promoted. And you still have some rights and protections, right? And you can't just be terminated at will. You still have protections, and cause has to be demonstrated that you're unable to do the job. And what we are demonstrating in this case that we filed last week in district court in Maryland, in Baltimore, is that this mass layoff is more of a riff than it is of these sort of individualized terminations for cause. In fact, the numbers don't add up. You're talking about tens of thousands of employees. It's nearly impossible for the administration to be able to demonstrate that they did an individualized assessment of the performance. Many people have said you're being terminated for cause. Many have said that you're being terminated as just a reduction in force. And when the federal government does lay off large numbers, which really is not that large, but it's more than 50 in a unit of government, there are requirements that the federal government notify the states that are affected. And so what we're alleging is, yes.
But the states can absorb the shock of that, both in terms of unemployment and in terms of tax revenues going down.
Absolutely. I mean, we have responsibilities to deploy this rapid response team, where when we get that notification of a reduction in force, we reach out to those federal employees. We reach out to their communities to see how we can help them connect to a follow-on job, another job, maybe in the private sector, maybe in local government, what supports are necessary to the community if the numbers are large enough. And these are things that are expected of state and local government to do, but we got zero notification whatsoever to step in, provide this resources. So not only do you have this, this reduction in force, these mass terminations, where it's questionable whether or not that was lawful. We have this procedural defect in that states weren't notified and the harm to the states. As you mentioned, unemployment insurance, the cost, the time, the bandwidth to mobilize state employees to engage these terminated employees. So those are the harms that we're articulating in court. And we're going to be...
And other legal requirements were evaded too, right? Because they have to pay special attention to the veterans. 30% of federal workers are veterans, and they just blew right past that, right?
Right, when there's a reduction in force, and so that your listeners and constituents understand, the federal government can do reductions in force. There are protections that are in place, and as you mentioned, one is for veterans. So there's veterans preference as you're going through and you're doing seniority, who goes first, et cetera, and none of that was taken into consideration. So we're raising this up to the court. We have a hearing in front of Judge Bradar, and we're very excited about Judge Bradar. He's also in an unrelated case, he's the judge that's considered the state's action against the vessel interests in the Francis Scott Key elision or collision. So we're familiar with him. He's a good, practical, no-nonsense judge.
The other case you guys brought was against the Department of Education. Tell us about that one.
Sure, and that one was brought in the district court for, in Massachusetts, and we're challenging what we claim to be, and we have evidence to show, the administration's unlawful termination of grant funding for K through 12 teacher preparation programs. And you can only imagine, right? You don't have to imagine. We read about it every day, how important that is for Maryland. We've got several thousands of teacher vacancies in elementary K through 12 schools across our state, and we want to put capable, qualified teachers in those positions. We and other states rely heavily on this grant funding, and the Trump administration terminated that funding. So we're in court with a number of attorneys general who have joined that action. It's being led by Massachusetts, and we're confident that we've got a strong case. And like in this case, didn't issue the proper warning that they were going to discontinue this program. And we allege, and we think we can prove that it's a violation of the Administrative Procedure Act.
And also, of course, that's money that we in Congress appropriated to the Department of Education for these purposes. So it was appropriated, it was programmed, it was on its way, and then somebody just decided, oh no, we don't want the teachers to be trained. We don't want.
That's what we're seeing time and again, right? By this Trump administration, withholding funds that Congress has appropriated, allowing, people like Elon Musk, who is playing a very senior role in government, to do so without following the appointments clause. Like nominate Elon Musk, let him go through the confirmation process successfully or not. And I would be fearful if he did, but with this Senate, who knows? But you have Elon Musk operating as a very senior federal official and without Senate confirmation. So number of constitutional provisions being violated day in and day out by this administration.
You have been involved with the other state attorneys general in 23 lawsuits. You've taken the lead on the probationary employees. I don't know if there's any other ones where you're the lead lawyer or if you're kind of dividing it up among the other AGs. But there are 23 cases, and I'm thinking back over your distinguished career in public life, my friend, and you were lieutenant governor, you were in the legislature, you were with me in the House of Representatives. But I think for this moment, I don't know that there's any other job where you'd be in a stronger position to be fighting back as the great lawyer you are than in this one. So I'm very glad you are where you are.
Well, I appreciate that. I do view this as a privilege to serve the state and, quite frankly, the country in a very meaningful way. I've got an extraordinary team of professionals, a number of them straight out of the Department of Justice now, who've joined our team. We are involved in, of those 23 that you mentioned, 7 are in district court. The others are amicus briefs, either in district court or in appellate court. And we're doing our level best. The cases range from challenging DOGE, from basically commandeering the central payment system of the U.S. Treasury, where Maryland alone, $11 billion flows to the state, $51 billion to Marylanders, Social Security payments, tax returns, veterans benefits, and we've been successful in that case to get a temporary restraining order. We may be in the preliminary injunction phase. So there's just a lot of important work to do, and it's a privilege for me to be able to lead this team in this important work.
The Democrats in Congress, as you know, in the House of Representatives, we've organized as a rapid response group, and we're doing amicus briefs, and we're working closely with you guys to advance law and the sanctity of the law against this just obliterating attack that's coming in. Well, thank you for hanging tough, Attorney General Anthony Brown. Thank you for being such a great friend to not just the people of the 8th District, but obviously the people of all of Maryland. And I look forward to working with you and getting us through this nightmare.
Congressman Raskin, Jamie, my friend, thank you for having me, and thanks for your work on Capitol Hill with your colleagues. Look forward to continuing to work with you.
All right. Stay close. Our local hero, Attorney General Anthony Brown.